السلام عليكم طلاب، أنا دكتورة ھالة، واليوم راح ناخذ المحاضرة رقم 8 لسلسلة محاضرات مادة الرواية للصف الرابع قسم اللغة الإنجليزية، ومحاضرتنا هي تكملة عن قصة A Good Man is Hard to Find. And today we are going to talk about one of the key themes, which is good versus evil. So the key themes, good versus evil, it is the tension between the character's moral beliefs, especially between the grandmother and the misfit. So the grandmother perception of goodness, surface level morality. The grandmother sees herself as morally superior because she conforms to traditional Southern values like being a lady and maintaining appearances. However, her actions, such as lying to her family about the location of the plantation house and manipulating them to get her way, reveal her superficial understanding of goodness. She equates being good with being well mannered and respectable. But these qualities are ultimately meaningless in the face of the story's unfolding events. In her final moments, the grandmother attempts to appeal to the misfit's supposed goodness, claiming, I know you are a good man, you wouldn't shoot a lady. This reveals her shallow and desperate belief that appealing to a sense of decency can save her, even though her own moral compass has been questionable through the story. So now the writer leaves the reader questioning who is good and who is bad in the story. So the misfit's moral philosophy. Existential reflection. The misfit represents a more complex, though deeply flawed, understanding of morality. He reflects on the nature of sin and punishment, admitting that he questions whether his crime deserved the severe consequences he faces. His infamous line, "No pleasure but meanness," highlights his rejection of conventional morality and his embrace of an holistic worldview where traditional concepts of good and evil have little meaning. So, in his mind, the good and evil does not or let's say they are not really distinct. They are not separated in his mind. That's why he is committing all these bad behaviors. So he has a clash of beliefs because we can say that the misfits' philosophical musings and the grandmother's shallow moralizing create a tension that underscores the story's theme of good versus evil. The misfit acknowledges the existence of Jesus and the possibility of redemption, but he rejects it, choosing instead to live by his own distorted moral code. This rejection highlights the complexity and ambiguity of the story exploration of good and evil. So now we question whether the misfit himself is a bad or a good person because he acknowledges his bad deeds, evil deeds, but he rejects redemption. These are pictures reflecting the story and the atmosphere of the story. So the family's moral ambiguity, we have pitting behavior, the cat's behavior. So the family, especially the children and the grandmother, display behavior that is far from virtuous. Their bickering, selfishness, and disrespect for one another showcase a lack of moral integrity that contrasts sharply with the life-threatening situation they find themselves in. This behavior emphasizes the gap between their self perception as good people and their actual moral shortcomings. So they are not aware that they are uh, not good people. We cannot say they are evil because the misfit is an evil person. We can say that they are not so good. And we can say also, we can talk also about Bailey's passive role. Bailey is the son of the grandmother. He is also the father, and he is a passive figure who lacks the moral strength to assert himself against his domineering mother or protect his family from danger. His failure to take sorry, his failure to take decisive action reflects the moral ambiguity and the blurred lines between good and evil in the story. So, because he has a weak personality, he was passive, and he could not even protect his family. So the story's conclusion, there is moral ambiguity in that. The story's violent conclusion, where the misfit and his gang killed the entire family, blurs the lines between good and evil. The grandmother's moment of grace, where she reaches out to the misfit and calls him one of my babies, suggests a fleeting connection to the divine and the possibility of redemption. However, the misfit's immediate rejection of this gesture, and his continued violence underscore the story's dark, ambiguous portrayal of morality. So this common forth of trying to be graceful, trying to be good by the grandmother at the last moment of her life did not pay its fruits with the misfit. The misfit's final words after killing the grandmother, the misfit comments, she would have been a good woman if it had been somebody there to shoot her every minute of her life. This statement encapsulated the tension between good and evil, suggesting that the grandmother only achieved a moment of true goodness in the face of imminent death, and even then it was fleeting and insufficient to save her. That's why we cannot consider the grandmother a good character. So, the tension between good and evil in A Good Man is Hard to Find is central to the story's impact. Through the flawed moral beliefs of its characters, particularly the grandmother and the misfit, the story explores the complexities and ambiguities of human nature, suggesting that the line between good and evil is not always clear, and that true morality may be elusive or even impossible in a world filled with violence and chaos.